Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste. Today we're going to talk about yoga for the mind, because sometimes our idea of what yoga is a little bit different than what yoga actually is. Let's start with a quote from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Perform action, Arjuna, established in yoga, renouncing attachments, and even-minded in success and failure. Yoga is equilibrium. Did you know that that is what yoga is? Did you know that yoga is, in fact, equilibrium? I wonder what he thinks of me. Did I get a good grade? Why didn't I get that promotion? His car's newer than mine. I wish I were as pretty as her. One day I'll have as much money as him. For most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, we've got this kind of internal dialogue constantly going on. We're constantly analyzing our successes and failures, judging and comparing, planning and fearing for the future. But as Bob Dylan reminds us in Love Minus Zero, No Limit, some speak of the future. My love, she speaks softly. She knows there's no success like failure, and failure's no success at all. All our judging, comparing, analyzing, hoping, fearing, that's keeping us in a constant state of stress and anxiety. So, how are you going to go relieve your anxiety? You better do some yoga, huh? Well, it's true. Yoga postures, really called asanas, they do offer really good stress relief. But there's so much more to yoga. Yoga's not just a workout or an exercise program or a sport. It's not a hobby. What does yoga actually mean? It means to yoke the mind, to yoke the small self, the one that runs around worrying, to the big capital S self that never changes. This is yoga for the mind. And my favorite place to learn about yoga for the mind is undoubtedly Bhagavad Gita, a text that's been my guiding light since I met Bede Griffiths in 1980. And every day we would sit in a circle beneath the coconut palms, and he would explain Bhagavad Gita to us. And you can read his explanations of Bhagavad Gita in a wonderful book called The River of Compassion. But here's some of my explanations. So, Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjuna, who represents the individual self, and Krishna, who represents the changeless self, capital S. This is really the instructional manual of yoga for the mind. Krishna, the charioteer, is the yoga teacher. Arjuna, the perplexed yoga student. And what is the studio? Dharmakshetra, the battlefield of everyday life. So, Gita is an owner's manual for our mind. But to use it, You need to know what model of psyche you're driving, because there's 3 different models with 3 distinctive methods of yoga for the mind. But people have different temperaments. We describe these temperaments in Ayurveda as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha Prakriti. The Vata individual's got this airy, spacey nature and just tons and tons of mental activity. That Vata mind is constantly on the move, thinking, fantasizing, philosophizing. So Vata has to train the mind. So for Vata, we need to use the yoga of wisdom and the path of meditation. The Pitta person, they have a fiery nature. They've got high ideals, loads of ambition. Pitta is always busy with so many important things. The Pitta person's a person of action. So Pitta needs to train their mind through the yoga of action and the path of work. Then we've got Kapha, watery, earthy, sentimental, caring, loving, and loyal, but gets so attached and possessive. So Kapha needs to train their mind through the yoga of devotion and the path of love. So let's delve into each one. The yoga of wisdom, in Sanskrit we call that jnana yoga. That might be pronounced in North India as Jnana Yoga, in Maharashtra as Dhyana Yoga, and Sanskrit is pronounced Jnana Yoga. The same root as our word know, which is why know begins with a K, to become an unpronounceable kno. So the essence of this path of Jnana Yoga is to separate the unreal from the real. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. The unreal never is. The real never is not. This truth indeed has been seen by those who see the true. So our problem is that we can't distinguish the real from the unreal, the ephemeral from the permanent, and that just causes us so much stress and worry. Of course, we all want to be happy, but if we can't distinguish what is real and true, we're bound to be unhappy because we seek happiness in things that can't last forever. Well, where we need to be is anchored in the changeless happiness of our true nature. I love Shelley's poem Adonais, which he wrote in response to the death of his dear friend, my favorite poet, Keats. In Adonais, he writes, "The one remains, the many change and pass. Heaven's light forever shines, earth's shadows fly. Life, like a dome of many-colored glass, stains the white radiance of eternity until death tramples it to fragments. Die, if thou wouldst be with that which thou dost seek." To Shelley, having lost his best friend to tuberculosis, to la belle dame sans merci, as Keats puts it, Kelly sees death as the opportunity to awaken from the dream of life. But Bhagavad Gita goes a step further and gives us the chance to awaken from the dream of life, even when we're very much still alive. And we can do this through the path of meditation. So let's start by getting ready. We like to have a nice yoga mat for our asanas. In the same way, to practice the yoga of wisdom, let's begin by setting up a place where we can meditate. If it's possible, we can meditate out of doors in a beautiful and peaceful spot. When Sadananda and I were visiting one of my best friends in Cheltenham, we went and found an oak tree in the park near the golf course. That was our spot. But we can also create a special meditation spot in the home. Here at Alandi, the first thing we did, even when we only lived downstairs in the basement, we only had two rooms and the kitchen living room area. One of them became the meditation room. So if you have enough room, you can designate a meditation room. You can set up a special meditation corner. Oh, years back, we were sharing a student apartment down on Manhattan with a friend. So we had just the one room for the two of us, but had a walk-in closet. So we made that closet into our cave. So yeah, closet makes a great cave. Meditating regularly in the same spot is a lovely support to help our practice. Then what you're going to sit on, something natural fiber. In Bhagavad Gita, they suggest some grass, a deer skin, and a cloth cover. I'm not a big fan of pieces of dead deer, so I like to practice on a felt rug. Some people like a cotton zabuton and zafu, but you want to have a special seat that you only use for meditation. Now we've got our seat, we want to sit on it properly. Back straight, neck straight. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna suggests meditating eyes open, direct the gaze to the tip of the nose. Other lineages and traditions recommend allowing the eyes to close gently. Well, it's easier said than done to practice the yoga of wisdom. It's not just about your practice time. You have to design your whole lifestyle to support awakening. If we eat too much, or we don't sleep enough, we're just going to be dull and sleepy in our meditation practice. If we don't eat enough, or we get overstimulated, our mind's going to be really agitated and it won't settle. So throughout the day, think about having a lifestyle that is balanced and will support our meditation practice. Arjuna, such a great warrior. I often like to say Arjuna was the greatest warrior the world has ever known. He was Krishna's closest friend, but even he is a bit daunted at first, thinking about approaching the yoga of wisdom. Oh, Krishna, the mind is so restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate. Trying to control the mind is like trying to gather the wind. You might as well try and catch the wind. The answer, we just have to be patient and never give up. Just don't give up. Even today, 50 years on, I wouldn't call myself an ace or a great meditator, but I've just kept going, little by little, step by step, one practice session at a time. The mind does become less turbulent, and we do come closer to that goal of the yoga of wisdom, where the mind is like a lamp in a windless place and never flickers away from the knowledge of the real. Now let's start to think about karma yoga. This is the yoga of action, and it's about carrying out our activities without feeling I'm the doer. So often our mind gets caught up in our activities and the results we want to see in terms of fame, wealth, reputation. We're draining our energy to get results that are just temporary. I've had some experiences of some alternations of this. When I was young, 25, 26, 27, I spent a year working 80 hours a week as a junior doctor in a country hospital. I was super lucky. I managed to pick a job which was only 80 hours a week instead of 120. I don't know if I would have survived 120. So 80 hours a week. I'm a junior doctor in a country hospital. I'm on call night and day. I've got men's ward, women's ward, coronary care, ICU, and ER. We call it accident and emergency in the UK. Whenever I sat for meditation, either I'd be sleepy or my beeper would ring. That didn't seem to be working out, so I went to the opposite extreme, and I spent a year and a half in an enclosed contemplative abbey, same order as Thomas Merton, the Cistercians. You know what? I worked really hard there too. I had to grow the vegetables to feed 30 nuns, and we got up 2:45 in the morning to chant the Psalms. Third thing I tried, I was a renunciant in India. I had nothing to do, no vegetables to grow, no ER, nothing except pounding my clothes on a rock in the river every day and walking miles along hot, dusty roads to get a bowl of rice or a cup of water. So I could see that in all these varied conditions of life, yeah, I was engaged in action. But I also saw that my contemplative practice did flow through all these different lifestyles. And that's perhaps my favorite quote from Gita, chapter 4, verse 18. He who sees the inaction that is in action and the action in inaction, he is the wise person, the yogi, the all-accomplishing. Also, there was a just amazing thing that happened when I left the Abbey, just a huge revelation. As I was a junior doctor, I was indispensable. We would go to work sick because you couldn't do without us. But when I re-emerged after 18 months in seclusion in the Abbey, you know what? The whole world had got along perfectly fine without me. Whoa. That was a very strange revelation. Everyone had been absolutely fine. Wow, I'm really not the doer. Actions flow through me, whether it's suturing lacerations or in the Abbey every day with my spade and my wheelbarrow. I had to move molehills because we had so many moles. I was scrubbing a sari. Kadi sari. These actions didn't change or affect who I really am. So on the hot and dusty roads of central India, that's really where I learned the yoga of action. Do the duty that comes your way without caring about the fruits, gain and loss. Now, watch out here. Renouncing the fruits of action doesn't mean we can do our actions in a careless or half-hearted way. When we perform an action for its own sake and not just for a result, the action requires our full attention, and we have to do it with the utmost excellence. Like Gita says, yoga is skill in action. Let's come on to bhakti yoga, moving from the head and the hands to the heart. These days we see the heart and mind as separate. In ancient times, the heart was the seat of the mind. So bhakti yoga, heart yoga, is yoga for the mind, the heart mind. And like karma yoga, we can practice bhakti yoga throughout our daily life. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give, whatever austerity you practice, do this, O Arjuna, as an offering to me. I remember shortly after I converted to the Catholic Church when I was 17, and I had a toothache, and Mum asked how I was doing, and I said, I'm offering it up. That's how we learned it in Catholicism. We learned to offer it up. If we have pain, if we had trouble, offer it up. If we had an enjoyment, a peach to eat, offer it up. And that's what we used to say in the Abbey, offer it up. And that wonderful, I love this practice, offering it up. It imbues all our daily actions with the radiance of devotion. So bhakti is the royal road, the king's highway, the motorway, the interstate, the autobahn. The other roads are narrow, winding, and circuitous, but the king's highway is broad and straight. It's the expressway. We don't need any qualifications or education. This is easy. Practice bhakti when you sit up at night with a sick child. Practice bhakti when you stand in front of the classroom. Practice bhakti when you clean up after an elderly, incontinent parent. Practice bhakti at the concert. Practice bhakti making love to your beloved. Because the person you are serving, enjoying, or relating to is simply another form of God. So everything we experience, everything we do, everything we eat, we offer it in service to the divine. 3 different yogas for 3 different prakriti types, but they're integral to one another. It's really just a matter of emphasis. I'm a karma bhakti type. I really am bhakti inclined. My guru told me that I was a bhakti yoga type, but being pitta, of course, I desperately need the karma yoga, and for any of it to get off the ground, that jnana has to be there. That's the sitting carpet. The practitioner of the yoga of wisdom still has to work, just as when I was a wandering renunciate and when I was a contemplative nun, I still did loads of work. You can't live without working. So when we're working, we have to bring our wisdom into play. We have to practice desireless action, karma. As a karma yogi, we need that basis of the wisdom we acquire through meditation. And as a bhakti yogi, we need the wisdom. We need the karma yoga to develop genuine devotion. It's a foundation. All forms of yoga for the mind are ultimately going to lead us to the heart, to love and devotion. But it's become so special because the devotion is not only flowing to an abstract ideal of the unseen divinity. My favorite line in the Bhagavata Purana, which some people call Srimad Bhagavatam, is, what is the use of worshipping the deity, the murti in the temple, if you cannot see God
Thank you for tuning in
in
to
your
Ayurveda
fellow
and
human
Spirituality
being
with
when you
Alakananda Ma.
leave the temple?
We hope today's exploration
My
has
own
ignited a
translation,
spark
but
of curiosity
approximately
and insight
like
within you.
that.
If you
The
enjoyed this
visible
episode, be
form
sure to
of
leave
the
us a 5-star
divine
review and share it with a friend.
is our fellow
For more enlightening
human.
discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and
How can we
spirituality,
love
subscribe and
God,
join our Facebook group,
the
Alandi
invisible,
Ayurveda.
if we cannot love
To allow us to
the
continue
brother
sharing valuable
we can
content,
see,
consider donating
as
to
it says
Alandi
in the
Ashram.
epistle
The links will
to
be in the show
John, first
notes.
epistle to John.
Until next time, may you
So
walk the
we
path of
meet the
Ayurveda with
divine
grace and
in every
embrace the light of
person,
spiritual
not only
wisdom in your journey.
human people, animal people too, kitty cats too, people, human beings, every living being we encounter is just another visible form of the divine to whom we can relate with wisdom, with desireless action and service, and with love and devotion. Okay, so that is yoga for the mind.